Likita?
Yes, sir.
Came.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Anybody else to join? Or only 57? Okay, right. We'll proceed with our previous class. Slides are moving?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Go. So in previous class, we were discussing about the for loop. So when you are going to choose the for loop means when the programmer is exactly knows how many times the loop has to be repeated. In such cases, you will select the for loop. So if user is not may or may not aware of how many times, that's going to exactly how many times the loop has to be repeated. In such cases, go for while statement. The general syntax for the first statement is for loop control variable in sequence. So this particular sequence may be, so that you can make use of for strings, right? Sequence may be a string, a sequence may be a tuple list, or sequence may be a tuple, a sequence may be a set, a sequence may be a dictionary, right? So here it's these are valid. For loop is valid for all types of sequences, whereas while is not valid for sets and dictionary. Why it is not valid? So we cannot access that particular variables by using the indexing. So that's why. So we cannot make use of for the that is while loop is not going to be valid for sets and dictionaries. So here also that you can make is a for loop is going to, we are going to specify the range of the sequence. Then if that particular range of the sequence is within the specified range or not is going to be get checked. Is loop control variable is within the specified range or not. If it is within the specified range, then it's going to be get execute block 1 statement. If it is not within the specified range, then block 2 statements are going to be get executed. That's the general syntax for the for loop and the representation by using the flow chart. Right. So here, whenever you are going to use this in sequence, so you can also represent with the help of range function. The range function is the built-in function in Python that is used to iterate over a sequence sequence of numbers. Sequence of numbers. Whenever you are specifying the range, the general syntax for this range we are going to use is range beginning of that particular range, comma, end, and the step. So here the step is optional. So if you want to use, you can make use of it. If you don't want, you can omit it. So if you are using the step, then you are going to use either the increment or decrement value. Plus or minus are going to be get made use of it in this step. So for this, we have seen so many examples how to make use of the range. So here for I in range 1, 5, it implies, so range beginning of that particular range is 1 and end is 5. Step here you have not mentioned any step. By default, it is going to take the step as 1. So if it's going to taken the step as 1 and this loop is going to be get executed. So here you have mentioned the step that is for range beginning of the range is 1 and end of the range is 2, and step here you have mentioned 2. increment is going to be get done. That is I range is equals to range plus 2. So it's going to be get started with 1 and then it's going to be increment with 2. That is I equals to I plus 2. Then it will become 3. Then it's going to check the condition is within the range or not. 3 is within the range or not. If it is within the range, then executed the statements which are written within the for. If it is not within the range, then it will come out of the loop and is going to be get executed the next follow statement of the for loop. So here you can also make use of without anything. Let for I in range, if you are given without any beginning and end or step, just you have mentioned the range. So by default, the subscript is going to be get started with 0 and it will go up to 9, 0 to 9. You have given the range as 10. So it's going to start with 0 to 9. If you are given the range as 20, then it's going to go up to 0 to 19. If you are given the range as 100, then it will move 0 to 99. That is n minus 1. So even within this particular case, even if you are not mentioned here any step, by default, it is going to be get taken as a. So here the step that it has been mentioned is plus 3 and it's going to be get incremented with 3. If you are given minus 3, so if you are given this, say for example, for I in range, so 1 comma 20 minus 3, is that particular statement valid or not? For I in range 1 comma 20 comma minus 3, is it valid or not?
No, sir.
Why?
Not valid.
Invalid. Why it is invalid? Then if it is the case, then how I have to give the statement? It should,
So
if,
20 comma 1 comma minus 3.
what? 20 comma
1
right.
comma minus
1 comma minus 3. Right. That's the initial beginning value should be greater and the end value should be less whenever you are decrementing the step. Step is going to be get decremented. The initial beginning value should be greater than that of end value and you are going to take the step as minus 1 minus, right? So if you are going to give in this fashion, that is 1 comma 20 minus 3, then it is invalid. If you are going to give 20 comma 1, then beginning will be starting with 20 and end with 1 and is going to be get decremented with 3. That's going to write 20, 17, 14, right? 11, so on and so forth. So like that it is going to be get written. That's how that you are going to make use of if you are mentioning the range. Range is going to be get checked. It's going to start with the beginning and is going to be get ended. And with the help of this particular step, it is going to be incremented. Even our incrementation and decrementation is going to check the condition. Is that particular value is within the specified range or not? That's what that you have mentioned here. So you are going to specify the range sequence, then is going to check is with loop control variable is within the specified range or not. If it is specified within the specified range, then block of statements are going to be get executed or else it will come out of the loop and is going to be executed. The next statement which are followed by the first statement, right? That's the general syntax of the first statement and that's how that you are going to use the for. How to select the appropriate loops and what are the different types of loops? Different types of loops. One is if you are going to take here, you are having 4 types of loops that are going to be get made use of in case of a computer system. One is entry controlled loop. It's also called as pre-test loop. So entry controlled loops is also known as pre-test loop. Next one is that is exit controlled loop or is also known as post-test looping. So our next one is third one is counter controlled loops and the fourth one is condition control loop. So these are this condition control loop are also known as definite repetition loop. So these are the 4 types of loops which are having entry controlled, exit control, counter controlled, and condition controlled. This condition control also known as definite repetition loop. So what is meant by first one? That is the entry controlled loop. So that's also called as pre-testing. mean, so here the condition is going to be get checked first. If the condition satisfies, then only it will enter into the loop. It will enter into the loop, and the set of statements, shoot of statements which have been mentioned are going to be get executed. If condition not satisfied, then it will not enter into the loop at all. It will come out of that particular loop, and whatever statements which are followed by that particular loop, they are going to be get executed. Such type of control statements are known as entry controlled or pretest controlled. Pre-control statement. Example for which you are going to use in case of Python programming comes under this entry controlled or pretest control loops, or for loop and while loop. So here for loop also comes under this one. Why? Because as it has been, we have been mentioned, that is, if you are going to give 1 comma 20 minus 3, it is not valid. Why? Because this going to check condition is going to be get checked first. So is it within that particular beginning is within that particular range or not is going to be get checked. If it is within that range, then only it is going to enter into that particular loop, or else it will come out of the loop. Even in case of while condition will be checked. If condition is true, then it is going to enter into that particular loop. If condition is false, then it will come out of that particular loop. The exit control loop, here we are not, in case of Python programming, we are not going to make use of any exit control loops, or it's also known as the post test. So whereas in case of C language, you are going to use the exit control loop, that is do while loop. So where you are going to condition is going to be get tested last, that is do. And so in that case, so even if the condition is false, at least one time the set of statements or shoot of statements are going to be get executed. Such type of control statements or such type of looping statements are called as post test or exit control statements, right? Next one is that is counter controlled. So here counter control statements. Example for this one is, you know exactly how many times the loop has to be iterated. Such type of looping statements are called as counter control statements. Know in advance, so how many number of times loop should be executed. This example for that one is for loop. We are specific. We are going to start how many times it is going to be get executed. Whereas in case of while, may or may not. So it doesn't know exactly how many times it has to be repeated. Then it is called as, that is condition control or definite repetition loops. Do not know in advance the number of times the loop should be executed. So this will be useful for, that is while statement. Example for counter controlled looping statements for loop. So example for condition control or definite repetition loop, example is while loop. And example for entry control statement or it's also known as pretest control. Example for in case of Python is for loop and while loop, right? These are the various classifications of this looping statements, and how to select the appropriate looping statements based on the problem that you are going to solve. Whether it has to be tested as is, it should be of entry control or exit control or counter control or condition control. So based on the requirement, based on the necessity, you are going to select that particular loop, right? Any doubts or any clarifications till now? Okay, right. Any doubts?
No, sir.
Right. Next one is the first statement. So actually, so as I already mentioned to you, in case of C language, so you are not having else part, else block in case of while statement or first statement. Whereas in case of Python, you are having the option for while and for while as well as for first statement, you are having the else block. So for is used iterative over the elements. Hello? In a sequence such as string, tuple, or list. So we can make use of all 5 types of sequences while using the for loop. All types of file sequences are the string, tuple, list, then sets, and dictionaries can be used. So general syntax for this first statement is for variable in list. This particular list may be any 5 sequences that you are going to use. If the condition is within the range, then this statement 1 and statement 2 are going to be getting. Another format. So another general syntax for loop with else part. Else part. If you so here you are going to check that is variable for variable in sequence. That sequence is going to be checked. If the variable present within that particular sequence, then this group of statements are going to be get executed. If not, it will goes to the else part. Else part, and that these particular statements are going to be get executed. So if variable, whatever may be the variable which are going to check, if they are present within that particular sequences, then this statement 1, statement 2 are going to be executed. If not, it will go to the statement 3, statement 4. So during each iteration, variable is assigned to the next value for the from the list. So if you are making use of the range, then you are going to mention the range, begin, end, and the that is whatever increment or decrement which you are going to use, or it's going to also called as step. Step, it will be represented, and they are going to check whether that particular variable value is present within that particular range or not, or whether that particular present within that particular list or not is going to be get checked. If it is present, then that particular statement, these statements are going to be get executed. Else it will goes to this statement 3 and 4. So else block is optional, both in case of while as well as for loop. Else block is optional. If you want to make use of, you can make use of it. If you don't want, you can omit it. Even in case of while also, the else block, when the while loop is going to be get executed, condition is true, then block of statements are going to be get executed. So I see here, in case of while also, you have made use of else block, while condition. So statement 1, statement 2, condition is going to be get checked first. If condition satisfies, statement 1, statement 2 is going to be executed. If condition is false, it will goes to the else part, and statement 3, statement 4 are executed. In same fashion, within this for loop also. So here it's going to check variable you have mentioned within that particular list. This particular sequence may be any 5 sequences whichever. If the value is present, value of that particular variable is present within that particular sequence, then statement 1, statement 2 will be executed. Else statement 3, statement 4 will be executed. Else block is optional. If present, it is executed if loop is not terminated abruptly by using break statement. If it is not present, loop is going to be get terminated abruptly by using the break statement. Right. So when you are going to use this for loop? So whenever you are going to use, that is, a for loop can be used in the following 2 situations. Whereas while you have seen, when you are going to use this while statement, these are the 3 circumstances where you are going to use this while statement. Whenever you want to repeat the set of statements till the condition becomes true, so till condition remains false. If condition is for true, but the condition remains true. If condition is false, it will come out of the loop. Or even when you are going to repeat for a finite number of times, then if you are dealing with that is strings, list, and tuple, these 3 you are going to use while statement. Whereas for if you are going to take, these are the 2 circumstances. That is, whenever you want to repeat the statements for a finite amount of time, and you know exactly how many times the loop has to be get repeated, and also whenever you are going to deal with all types of sequences. So here no restriction. You can make use of all types, that is string, list, tuple, set, or dictionary. All types of sequences you can make use of it in there. Next, range function, as which you have already seen, generates the sequence of the integers. If you have mentioned range 10, then it will generate by default, the subscript is going to be get started with 0, 0 to 9. We have mentioned 10 values. It is going to start with the 0 and end with the 9. So here you have mentioned that is range 10, 2. That is beginning is 10 and ending is 20. It will generate the number from 10 to 19. 10 to 19. Next, so here the range that you have begin is 10 and the end is 20. And the step that you have mentioned is incrementing. So it's going to increment with the 2, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. It's going not 20, it is going to write. So it's going to write up to 19 with that one. So minus, it is decremented. So here you have taken beginning is starting from 20, ending with 10, and is going to be get decremented with 3. Like that you are going to make use of this range function. Range function, one, without mentioning begin, end, and the steps. So you are going to give that particular range, and then you can give the beginning and ending, and you can give the beginning and ending with the positive step and beginning and ending with the negative step. So these are the various types of functions that you are going to make use of. Note, range cannot generate a sequence of floats. It will generate only sequence of integers. So it cannot be used for, so that is not possible with example that 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, so on and so forth, 1.9, then 2, 2.1, 2.3, not like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it will generate, make use of only, so integers. So general syntax for this range, start, stop, and step. So produces a sequence of integers, starts inclusive to stop exclusive by that particular steps, right? So here you get example that you are given for I in range 1, 10, 2. It's going to what will be the output for this particular for loop? For I in range 1, 10, 2, colon, print I, I into I, I into I into I. What will be the output for this? This particular statement, if you are going to execute by this particular for loop, so what will be the output for this for loop? ఏమే ఎవరు మాట్లాడడం లేదు.
Sir, n value, n square value, and n cube value.
What? What will be the output?
13579.
1, that is what is going to write 1, 1 square, 1 cube. That is 1, 1, 1. Next value will be
3 9
3, 9, 27. Next 5.
525.
So
120.
125. Next 7. 7, 49.
749 343.
9. Next one is 9, 9 square, 9 cube. Next, are you going to get 10, 10 square, 10 cube?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
No, sir.
But it will be incremented. Next value will be 11. Next value will be 11. It's going to check for that one. Since 11 does not lies within this particular range 1 to 10, it will come out of the loop. Okay. Next value will be incremented. It will increment after 9. Then it will be incrementing with that particular step. Now the latest value of I will becomes 11. Then it is going to check the condition. Since 11 is not within this range in between 1 and 10, it will come out of the loop. Okay. Okay.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. Now this for loop can also be make use of with the other sequences also. That is for, so variable in sequence, right? That particular sequence may be a string, or that particular sequence may be a list, sequence may be a tuple, sequence may be a set, a sequence may be a dictionary, right? We see here we are given 5 examples. One for string, another for list, another for tuple, and this one for set, and this one for dictionary, right? Now tell me what will be the output for this 5 sequences by using for loop. See the first one, for car in leopard. So leopard, print car. What will be the output for this?
Each character, sir.
Hmm?
Each character, L-E.
Right. Each character, will it print on the same line or line by line?
New line.
Next line.
Line by line.
Right. Absolutely
If we
correct.
give the end
Line-
user, it will.
Right. If you are going to give the end, then it is going to be get printed with the same line. Since we are not made use of any end, that it is going to print that particular character line by line. L will be in the first line, E will be in second line, O, so on and so forth, right? Okay. So here also it's going to be get that particular condition, and that is going to be get printed. What about this next one? For loop that you have made use of.
Cat, dog, tiger, all are printed.
Right. It is going to be get printed. Whatever where presents with the elements which are present within that particular list. So you are going to print the animals which are present. It also going to be get printed line by line. Since it is going to be here also, it's going to check the condition. So that particular value, whatever value that you have been mentioned, is it within that particular string or not? It's going to be get stored. So char of 0, subscript 0, subscript 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so on and so forth. It's going to be get checked. Next line, it will be of a null character. So if it is of null character, since they are not having any character which have been stored, it will come out of that particular loop and is going to be get executed, right? Exit from the for loop. In the same fashion, so here also it's going to write all these 5 and then it will come out of the for loop, right? So here in case of tuple, also it's going to write these 3 and it will come out of that particular loop. Then within the set, you have given numbers. So 3 positive numbers and 2 negative numbers, they are going to write and it will come out of the loop. Then what will be output for this?
A101, A11.
Right. Only they are going to write here, since you asked to print key, the key values. Dictionary will consist of the key and value. Key value here A101 and its value is Rajesh. So here key is A111111, its value is Sunil. So here like that, since you have been asked only to print key, they are going to print only this. So right. So here this for loop is, they see the difference between the while and while, for. You cannot make use of sets and dictionaries. So in case of while loop, but you can make use of all these 5. That is characters, string, list, tuple, sets, and dictionaries. All the things that you can make use of, and you can check that one. Right? That's regarding the usage of for loop and the general syntax of for loop, where you are going to use that particular for loop, and the examples that you have taken, and what are the different types of looping statements, and when to select which type of looping statements, and so on and so forth. Right? Any doubts or any clarification till now? We'll see examples of the for loop. Any doubts or any clarifications?
No, sir.
No, right. Now let's have say some examples for this for loop. In the same fashion, which you have made use of nested if. What is the meaning of nested if? Nested if statements. What is meant by nested if statement?
If is used under if.
Under if. That particular whatever if which are going to use may be a simple if, or it may be a if else, or it may be even if else statement, right? That's such type of statements called as a nested if statement. What is nested while? Nested while?
While inside while.
While inside while. While within while is called as nested while. In the same fashion, you can also make use of for loop also. If you are using for loop within another for loop, then it is called as a nested for loop, right? If you are using same type of statements, if within if, nested if, while within while, nested while, for within for, nested for. In same fashion that you can make use of any combination of it, then it will become nested control statements. You can have that is if within, so while or vice versa, or with the other for within if within for. So like that you can have any combination. Such type of combinations are called as nested control statement. Means control statement within another control statement. That particular control statement may be either conditional statements with looping statements or looping statements with conditional statements. So like what vice versa that you are going to make use of. If you are using, then such type of constructs are called as nested control statements, right? And now let's see examples for this for loop. Write a program to print simple program. Write a program to print multiplication table of n. If you are going to input n will be of 10, then you are going to get the multiplication table of 10. If you are going to give n as 15, you are going to get the multiplication table of 15, so on and so forth. For that, what you are going to do first, you are going to input the number n value you are going to make use of and print. So multiplication table of n. You want to know for which number that you are generating the multiplication table. Then you are using first statement. What is the general syntax of the first statement? For control variable in range, here you have made use of for I in range 1, 10. So starting value will be of 1 and ending will be 10. Default it is going to be get taken, we increment with 1. So it's going to check first I is going to be get started with 1, I equals to 1. Now it's going to print. So print, so n, what is the n value that you have given? So 5. Say for example, if I want to have the multiplication table of 5, then you are going to write that is 5 into x, it's going to write. Now I value is 1. 5 into 1 equals to n into I. That is n is 5 into 1. We are going to get 5 into 1 equals to 5. It's going to write. Next, I will be incremented. I will becomes 2. Then it's going to write 5 into 2 equals to 10. Then 5 into 3, 15. So on and so forth. Up to 10, it is going to be get written. Then it is going to increment with 11. So since 11 is not within the range of 1 to 10, it will come out of the loop and is going to write it, right? The simplest so multiplication table of a given number, you are going to print that particular table. Write a program to print multiplication table of n, where n is used by ended by the user. N by the user, same thing that you have written for twice, I think so. So here you are going to take the n value. Here we have initialized within that one. Then write a program using for loop to print all the numbers from m to n, classifying them as even or odd. Say for example, if I am going to give from 20 to 30, what this program implies. So write a program using for loop to print all the numbers m to n, classifying even or odd. So you have to print both, that is from 20 to 30. 20 to 30, you have to print the numbers, and also you have to print 20 is even, 21 is odd, 22 is even, 23 is odd, 24 is even, like that you are going to give up to whatever n values that it has been given. You are going to write. For that you are going to read both the values, that is m, n. Mn values you are going to read, and then you are going to make use of for loop for I in range. We'll be starting with the beginning value is m, right, comma, and the ending value is n. We are going to take up to n plus 1. N will be n plus 1, right? So it's going to take up to m, 67.
Sir,
Why are you making noise?
no, sir, I didn't.
Mute yourself. So within that, we are going to start with, say, for example, if I'm going to give, that is 20 to 20, comma 30. M value is 20, N value is 30. Where, what is the beginning? It's going to start with 20. After starting at 20, then it's going to check within this for loop, you have made use of if statement. Such type of statements are called as nested control statements. Here you are not using for within another for. So you are using if within for statement, then nested control statement. So here now M value will be 20, right? I value. So I it is M value will be 20, N value will be 30, right? It will goes up to 31. So now I value is good. I is going to be initialized with M. I equals to M. Now what is the value of initialization? I will be M. The same for loop you can also convert into the while statement also. While statement can also be converted into the for statement. So whatever programs that you have written with while, it can also be done with using the for statement, and whatever for statements you have made use of that can also be so done with while statement. Say for example, if I want to make it as the same statement. So if I want to convert into while, how I am going to convert it? So for I in range M, comma N plus 1. If I want to convert this for statement into while, what is the relevant statements that I have to write? Can anybody say? Convert this particular for statement into while.
While I greater than or equal to
No.
M.
No, first of all, you have to
While
initialize it.
m less than or equals to n.
Hello?
While m less than or equals to n.
First you have to initialize. Whenever it is going to be get started, while loop, first we have to initialize. I equals to M. It has to initialize. So I equals to M, right? Then you have to check the condition. While I is less than or equals to N plus 1. Right? Able to understand? The same for loop, if I want, hello?
Yes, understood, sir.
Understood. First, initialization is more important. Prior to starting of the while loop, it should be initialized where it has to be get started, because so now you have to initialize I equals to M first, right? I equals to M, then while I is greater than or equals to N plus 1, right? Where greater than or equals to or greater than N plus 1.
Greater than N plus 1.
Right, correct, absolutely, not equals to. If you are going to give or if you want to omit this one, N plus 1, in such cases you can mention I is greater than or equals to N, greater than or equals to N. Then so you are going to print that particular statement, and you have to give the incrementation also. I equals to I plus 1 also should be given. That's how that you are going to convert the first statement into while statement. While statement also be converted into first statement, right? So if same thing, if you want to convert it into the form of while statement, first you have to initialize I equals to M, and then you have to check the condition, that is I is greater than N plus 1, and then within that group of statement you have to give the incrementation also. Incrementation should be given I equals to I plus 1, right? That's how that it is going to be get converted from the first statement into while, and while statement to first statement also it can, right? So now you have been starting with that. Now you have given enter the values of M and N, M as 20 and N as 30. Now it's going to start I equals to that is 20. It's going to be get started with 20. Now it's go. What is the value of I? I will be 20. Now it's going to check the condition. If I mod 2 equals to 0, that is 20 mod 2 equals to 0. Yes. Then print I even. That is 20 as even. Right? Then I will be incremented. That will become m plus 1. That is 21. Then it's going to check the condition. 21 mod 2 equals to 0. No. Then it's going to print 21 add. Then incremented 23. 23, so 22. 21, 20 over. Next 21 over 22. 22 is going to be get checked even. 23 odd, 24 even, 25 even, so on and so forth up to 30 it will go. 30 it's going to write even, then it will be incremented 31. Since that 31 is not within the range, in between 20 to 30, it will come out of that particular loop. For loop, it will come out of the for loop, and whatever statement that you have written after the first statement, that statement is going to be get executed, right? Any doubts or any clarifications?
No, sir.
Right. Next, in the same fashion, you can make use of for printing the leap year or not. You are going to enter the range. Say, for example, if I want to have the range from 2000 to 3000, in between 2000 to 3000, how many leap years are there and which years are not leap year? So whatever year which have been divided with the 4 and getting the remainder as 0, those years will be leap years and rest of the years are non-leap years. 2000 is leap year, 2004 is leap year, 2008 is leap year, so on and so forth. Rest of the years will be of non-leap years. It's also going to be get started within that particular range and ending with n plus 1, right? Next, write a program to calculate factorial of the entered number by using the first statement. So first statement you are going to make use of, you have to check whether the entered number, if the entered number is n equals to 0, then what is the factorial 0? Factorial 0 will be 1. It's going to write factorial 0 as 1. If entered number is 0, then factorial will be 1. So then you will be assigning fact equals to 1, and you're going to start with the range I in the range 1 to n plus 1. Let's say, for example, if I'm going to give the factorial as 10, then you are going to get the factorial of 10. 10 into 9 into 8 into so on and so forth up to 1 you are going to be getting, and you are going to print that particular factorial, right? Then, so write a program to classify the number. Entered number is prime number or composite. What is meant by prime number? What is meant by prime number? And what is meant by composite number?
If the number has factors 1 and itself.
If the number is divisible by itself out that or by 1, then it is called as the prime number, else it will become the composite. Now you are going to enter the number and you are going to initialize is composite equals to 0, and you will be starting from the range, that is for in, that is value which you are going to make is of not I in, this I for I in range, for I in range 2 comma number starting from 2 to given number. It's going to, number is going to be divisible with I. If you are going to get the remainder as 0, the composite equals to 1, then it's going to be get break. Then if it's going to check with the condition, if composite equals to 1, then it's going to print the composite number, or else it's going to print the prime number, right? This regarding the examples, some of the examples I will see in the next class. So how to make use of for statement within that, and how to use nested for statements, means first statement within another first statement by taking some of the examples to print some of the patterns. So I'll see in the next class how to make use of nested for statement. Okay, any doubts or any clarification till now? Likita, absent is have written, or shall I take attendance?
Yes, sir. I wrote it, sir.
All right.
66,
1 minute. 66.
68,
Hmm.
76,
Hmm.
88,
Hmm.
94,
Hmm.
95,
Hmm.
99,
Hmm.
B7,
Hmm.
C3.
See that. Any objection? So these are the absentees which read by Likita. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.